But right now, Rob, and you are, as you've told us, one of your most beloved possessions is your Hall of Fame vote. And today we found out that Alex Rodriguez and David Ortiz are on the new Hall of Fame ballot. So let's just put it out there. You voting for him? We know they both been dogged by steroid. I mean, A-Rod admitted it.
Right. A-Rod and Big Papi got caught. Right. Basically saying that, that him and Manny Ramirez tested positive. Remember when they had that Mitchell report and their names were leaked out?
Right. His name was on the Mitchell report.
Right.
But he never admitted it publicly, did he?
No.
Right.
This is the tough part. I'm going to stay consistent, Chris. And my consistent pitch is if you didn't get suspended or busted by baseball, I do vote for you. Plain and simple.
Even if you think they did PEDs.
That's not my
I'm just asking.
No, and I'm answering your question. Do you see what I'm saying? Like you can't be mad if you say, how could you not vote for Manny Ramirez? Well, Manny got busted twice, Chris, after baseball put the new rule in about, remember, HGH and stuff that weren't on the original banned substance list, right? That was the list before they put it in, and it wasn't on it. But after they put it on the list, Manny got busted not once, Chris, but twice.
Okay.
And suspended. You see what I'm saying? Like,
I get that.
Okay. So
do you think but you vote for Barry Bonds?
I voted for Barry Bonds. I voted for Mark McGwire when he was on the ballot. He's no longer.
McGwire got caught doing PEDs.
He never got he never got suspended. He never got.
But he did get caught.
He admitted it. I believe,
Andro, I don't know how to pronounce it. Andro, right? Right. It was a report that it was in his locker room.
But he never
in his locker.
But he never.
Did he admit it?
He didn't know. I mean, he never got suspended. That's why he got my vote.
But he did get. I mean, but I get you. He didn't get officially suspended.
He didn't admit it. Remember, he pleaded the fifth when they had the Senate hearings. Right.
But it was.
It's
okay. It was. Yeah. It was reports that he did it.
Right. No, he did not admit it.
I get what your basic rule is if you tested positive and got suspended, you don't vote for him.
Yes.
But there are guys that you and most people believe did PEDs but didn't get caught that you vote for.
Yeah, I mean, I'm giving you the three guys. McGwire, Bonds, Clemens. I vote for Sosa, and I vote for Gary Sheffield. Those are the guys I vote for. Who I haven't voted for were Manny Ramirez, Rafael Palmeiro. And then think about this, Chris. Here's the other thing. Pudge's name was out there with the big, Canseco book. Yep. Pudge got in on the first ballot despite Canseco saying he used to stick Pudge with the needle.
Right.
And he still got in. Even if you're a casual baseball fan going back 10 or 15 years or 20 years, Mike Piazza's name, Chris, has always been linked.
Yes.
Correct?
Yep.
Mike Piazza's in the Hall of Fame. Jeff Bagwell from the Astros.
Yep.
His name was always out there. Jeff Bagwell got in. But again, all three of those guys never got busted by baseball. You see what I'm saying? Never
I get it.
Tested positive under the test that baseball was running. So neither did Gary Sheffield, neither did Sosa. So my point is I will continue to vote for those guys. I believe Bonds and Clemens will get in, Chris. This is their last shot.
Woo. And they were in the 60% range.
62, 61, 62. It's not uncommon.
You got to get 75?
Yeah, you need 75, but it's not uncommon.
That's a big jump.
We've seen other players do it, get the big jump, Chris, their last year, because this is it as far as being in by the writers. And I think if writers were really against Bonds and Clemens like they were against McGuire and Sosa, those guys never came close to it. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, there's no support for those guys. No support for Gary Sheffield. They never had those numbers.
Don't you think that's just because Clemens and Bonds were better players?
I think also that they also realize that when you tell that story of the greatest in baseball, Bonds and Clemens belong. Bonds and Clemens were both star players before this era started.
Well, here's the thing, right? And that's where, and I think you made a lot of sense. I get it. We don't know who
trying to
all
negotiate.
was
You're right.
PEDs,
trying to navigate,
right?
Chris, because it ain't easy.
So you can only just say, look, if you got caught, then that's it. Otherwise, I don't know, right? You can't base everything on reports or
rumors and hearsay,
sources, right? I get that. Now, I agree with you that I believe Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens were great players before we think they used PEDs, right? Because they were, Bonds came in, he was great as a younger player, and so was Clemens. And you can actually point to a time based on circumstantial evidence where you think, okay, this is when Bonds started using, right? This is when Clemens started using.
Right.
But we don't know, Rob. What we're basing a lot of that on size, on production. It's possible that Gary Sheffield, and I don't know that I'm not saying he was doing PEDs.
And remember,
he's been accused of doing it, but he was never a big, you know what I mean? He was never had this huge growth spurt.
No.
Like a Bonds.
But he was working out with Bonds. That's where you remember he was working out with Bonds.
But I'm just saying, there are guys that aren't huge or don't grow incredibly that were doing PEDs. You know what I'm saying? That's my point. So we look at particularly Bonds and say, oh, look at him. He was so small when he was a younger player.
Right.
But he could have technically been doing, I don't think he was, but he could have been. So I'm just saying that kind of falls into the area of, well, we don't know either. Here's where I stand, Rob. And you never want to reward cheaters. I get all that. But the era was so tainted.
Right.
And let's be honest, and I'm not trying to cast aspersions on any of the legends from yesteryear, but there have been stories. Is Tom House, the old pitcher, right? He's come out and said,
that's a story that doesn't get enough play, Chris.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. He says all of them would take what they called greenies. You know this better than me. In the locker room and pop them some
M&Ms.
candy. Yeah, M&Ms. And those are amphetamines that are banned today.
Yep.
And
it was commonplace. It was commonplace.
Right. And then he even talked about beyond that. He said guys were trying steroids. Guys were doing all types of stuff in the 60s and 70s. And I believe it because when I played high school sports in the early 80s,
people were doing
there were guys, doing steroids. So steroids were.
Can I give you one guy, Chris,
then?
you can look at and there's no proof or anything, but there's one guy, and look him up real quick. But Davey Johnson, whose record just got broken for the most home runs by a second baseman. If you look at Davey Johnson, they say that Atlanta Braves team with Tom House, right, when he was a player, he had the all-time record. Marcus Semien broke it this year. He hit 45, but for a long time,
right.
Davey Johnson held the record with 43 home runs for a second baseman, which is a lot.
Right,
but
Chris, and that came out of nowhere.
Look at before he got to Atlanta. If you got it, can you call up his stats? Look at how many home runs he had the year before, and then you look at it.
No other year of his career did he hit more than 18. And the year before he hit 43, he hit 5.
Yeah, he hit 5. He went from 5 to 43.
No, is that a rumor? That's talk out there that he was.
That was that team with House or whatever. House was on that team.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yep. There you go. Yeah. So I here's what I feel like, Rob. I feel like you just need to put the guys in that deserve it based on their production.
It's hard that A-Rod is one of the great players, and the same thing with Ortiz.
You can't tell the story of baseball without Barry Bonds.
No, you can't.
Or without Roger Clemens, or even without David Ortiz, just because of what he did in Boston.
Dude, they hadn't won a World Series in 100 years, and he won, what, 3 of them?
Yep. So you got and so what I think, Rob, is you put them in, and if they got busted, or if they're strong enough, and obviously there is with Bonds, and then,
right, because
Ortiz
Bonds is
the
the Balco investigation. He's like what happened to John Gruden, Chris. They were investigating Balco and stumbled on to Barry Bonds' name.
Yep.
They weren't investigating Bonds.
Right. So I think you put them in, and on their plaque in the actual Hall of Fame, in your, you're talking about them, but you have an asterisk, a literal asterisk, and you explain, in whatever words you want to use, there was controversy about this player, that he used PEDs. He played in an era where steroid use was widespread. However you want to word
it. Steroid era, the way we call up the
dead ball era and all that
dead ball era, the high mount era when Sandy Koufax and those guys, Bob Gibson. Remember, they dominated. The mound was higher.
When the mound was lowered it.
Right.
Yep. I think that's what you got to do. Because, like you said, I applaud you for trying to navigate these waters.
Rather than just saying
some
no to
that
everybody.
Just black and white. Right. You're saying no to legends.
Right.
Okay. But you're going through look at the circles you got to go through. You know what I'm saying? It's just too crazy. And so that's how I would do it. That's how I would handle it.
Yeah, no, I got it. I mean, I think you can put them on. You can talk about it. It's just like Major League Baseball, right? We don't, and I'm not saying it's the same. We don't discount Babe Ruth. He played in the segregation era, Chris, against no black or Hispanic players.
The best competition that was out there.
Some of the best players are Hispanic and black, right?
Yep.
He never played against any.
Yep.
We don't diminish what Babe Ruth did. We identify it as the segregation
all these guys
era, right? That's what it was.
And now they're obviously, putting Negro League players in the hall, and even putting their statistics on, officially acknowledging their stats and stuff. So, I think that's how you deal with it. And you hope that it doesn't kind of open the floodgates. I don't know what guys are doing today. I don't know if you have a feel for how much guys.
Yeah, I mean, there's always people trying to test the system. You know that,
right.
Always for an advantage. But there's penalties that come with it. We haven't seen that many.
Right. So you hope it doesn't encourage guys again. You know what I mean? To be like, oh, you're getting in the Hall of Fame. Because Rob, I've always said this. Obviously, there's a temptation to use PEDs. So you can be a better player, right? So you can become a star. And
you can stay on the field longer and play. That's the big
and that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Right. But also, Rob, I mean, and let's keep it real. And I'm not condoning it in any way. And I want to say I would never do it, but you're talking about money. It's not just, I want to be an all-star. It could be the difference between you getting a $20 million contract and a $200 million contract.
Ask Ryan Braun, right? Who just retired this year.
Right. I mean, that is, to me, that's the temptation for guys. Because they could be like, even if I get caught, I still got $200 million coming my way.
Right.
So it's a sticky situation.